I want to thank you for being here today. We're very excited to announce the implementation of a new code enforcement strategy that has been developed with the Code Enforcement Office and our innovation team. We have heard over and over again that our Code Enforcement Office is too reactive, and we wanted to be in a place where we could be more prospective with our actions, and rather than just have code enforcement be seen as a punitive branch of city government, to work with people who want to work with us so that we could resolve the problems that can be resolved and do it in a way that is efficient and effective. So we are going to unveil this program today, and the pilot will last through December 15th. It's going to take place in the Northside, which is obviously where we're standing, between Grant Boulevard, Oak Street, James, and Lodi Street. Through this program, we in the city are going to focus on critical health and safety violations, like determining where water and heat on a day like today are shut off, where there's chipping lead paint. And then, so we are looking at determining this information on a block-by-block basis and working with property owners to implement effective strategies. And so that we can deal with these on a block-by-block basis instead of looking at this as a citywide problem. Each block is going to receive a scorecard to determine their biggest needs, and then inspectors are going to be assigned to a beat where they will patrol and develop relationships and learn the needs of each of these blocks. As always, our goal is to provide everyone in Syracuse with quality, healthy, and affordable housing for them and their families. And by doing this on a block-by-block basis and using this as a test program, we will be able to implement and test whether these strategies are effective. So rather than having me talk to you about this, I'd like to call up our highly effective and dedicated Director of Code Enforcement, Ken Towsley, who can talk to you about some more detail about this. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Like the Mayor just explained, working with the innovation team over the last few months, trying to come up with a way to be more proactive to the community in regarding to our code enforcement issues. I know the I team has done majority of the legwork on this with the data, and I can't appreciate more what they've accomplished for us to go forward. And hopefully, as we go forward into the new year, we can implement this citywide. So with that, I'll take any questions you may have.
So you're testing it ends on December 15th, and then you expect to expand it in 15 days. Doesn't need time to...
Well, it wouldn't. What we're doing is doing a test period. Oh, sorry. So we are, like with all of our programs, our new implementation programs, we're going to implement it, get the data, and then measure the data. And then it will be up to a new mayor to determine whether the data shows that this program has been effective, whether it merits moving on a citywide basis. But, you know, I'm the mayor till December 31st, and we're going to continue to implement these programs and then leave my successor with all of the data to determine whether or not it merits continuing or whether it merits changing.
What kind of data are we looking at?
Well, we're going to be looking at how many, different types of critical health and safety violations, where there may be bed bugs, where there may be lead paint, where water is shut off, where heat is shut off. Where are there blocks where they have, are there a number of blocks where they have a lot of lead paint? Are there a number of blocks where the issues are heat and water shut off? Does that get related to how many properties are owner occupied? Are there some property owners who work with us when we make the first phone call? Are there other property owners that traditionally we've had to sue in court to get them to do the right thing? So it's all of that kind of information put on a block-by-block level, which will help us, we think, solve some of the problems immediately before having to wait to go to court and have the court put down an order.
Why the Northside in particular?
No, just determined that this was where it made the most sense, and so we could have done it on any quadrant of the city or any block by block.
So you're going to have people actually, more people basically getting the information? Is that...
Well, instead of the inspectors are going to be assigned to actual block territories instead of citywide. And so the idea is that these inspectors will be able to know firsthand both the people who are living in the properties, what the property issues are, and to use that data and build relationships with people.
And they won't have a larger number of inspectors and like went on. It's still the same amount of territory to cover.
Correct, it is. But the goal is, one of the goals is that when you look at how many open cases we have that we go to court with every month or every quadrant, and how many of them just roll over, and how many of them have been on the docket for years and years, is there a better, more efficient way to limit the number of cases that we have to go to court with? Can we work with property owners or people who live in those properties to, eradicate those problems right away, instead of waiting the 6 to 8 months to a year to 2 years to go to court to have a judge say it to a landlord who then has to take time to implement that?
Why is this happening right now? I know it's the IT, but is there a certain catalyst?
Well, I think the catalyst is always how can we deliver government services in a better and more strategic way. And code enforcement is one of those fundamental services that we provide as a city government, and everybody wants more code enforcement. The problem that we identified early on is that our way of our real leverage that we were using was the court system, and that wasn't working. So we went to the I team and asked them to think about a different way that we could use data and the resources that we currently have to measure how effective and efficient we are, and is there a better model so we're not just being reactive, we're being proactive.
Will that mean more inspectors?
We're not hiring more inspectors, no.
And how does this fit in, or where does the project stand for the Violations Bureau? That's completely different from this.
It's completely different, but it is different. The Violations Bureau right now is sitting with the Common Council, and they're determining how they want to move forward on that.
Would you say that this is more of a, I guess, a hands-on, because you've got more people in the neighborhoods, or, there before when things go bad?
I think that the goal here is, and what we hope to do, is to build relationships with people who live in the properties and people who own the properties, so that if you get a call, if you're a property owner and you get a call from code enforcement, it's not like, oh my God, I got to hire my lawyer and we're going to go to court, and and this is going to be, I'm just going to fight this the whole way. The goal is that when that code enforcement calls you, you can say, oh yes, I know Ken Towsley, or I know Omar, and they say, you have a heating system that looks like it's on the fritz, or I walk by your house and I notice that it needs a new roof, or there's a particular hole in the roof, and if you don't get it fixed now, you're going to have to fix the entire roof, and that's going to be a lot more expensive. So again, it is to try to minimize the number of times that we have to go to court to get these cases resolved, and you're doing that by trying to build relationships so that you can proactively say to people, if you fix this problem now, it's going to be a lot cheaper, a lot more effective and efficient, and you're not going to get penalized from the city. If you wait, it may be 2, 3, 4 years down the line, but it's going to be a lot more expensive.
Will this ensure more responsibilities of landlords to be making sure that the real estate?
Landlords have always had the same amount of responsibility. What we hope is that just a second, sir, that the landlords that want to work with us will see us as a partner in ability to work with them to help them navigate what at times can be a complicated regulatory system. And the landlords who don't work with us and choose to ignore their responsibilities, there will be fewer of them, so that we can focus, our legal department can focus on it, and our other enforcement arms can focus on them. Sure.
I just showed up. Not my landlord, but my father's, my mother's. The landlord proves, always in New York City, he says. And our roof is caving in, on my dad's side of the door, it's like leaking where the wall is, like up there, like leaking right down the water. He says going fix it, and it stopped. I fell down a couple of times, and I had an MRI on my back. Okay, I'm having problems with my back, and something needs to be done with Bruce, because I'm having the numb. And when I explained this to my mother, she said, if you get involved, we're all going to be affected. Well, that's how Bruce is.
Well, I'll tell you that I'm glad you said something because there are at least 4 or 5 people that are. We're gonna get your address and go and look at it.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. I didn't ask him to come, so he was not. I didn't say enter the extra. But thank you for being here. It illustrates our point.
Are you looking at targeting landlords or other owners who might have been problematic in the past?
Always. I mean, in a city the size of Syracuse, we know who the problematic landlords are. But part of the issue that we have with them is that they change their ownership structure so much that right as we're about to lower the boom, they change it from 123 LLC to ABC LLC. So there's a lot of cat and mouse that we do with our legal department. And again, we would, if we can have our legal department, the more we can focus our legal department on the truly bad actors, as opposed to the people who don't understand how to meet their responsibilities. We think that that's a more efficient way to provide services. All right, thank you all very much. Welcome fall. Happy November.